Aruba port control, Aruba port control. This is Sailing Yacht Florence. Sailing Yacht Florence, over.
Sailing Yacht Flo calling Aruba.
Good morning. We would like to request entry into the port, please, for customs and immigration, over.
Yes, proceed, Captain. Second slip on your port side, yellow boulders. Second slip on your port side, yellow boulders.
Customs is a little different here in Aruba. Rather than go ashore to find them, we have to tie to a specific dock and they come to us. There is a lot of paperwork to fill out though.
Today it's Carnival, which is what we came to Aruba for. We can hear the music started on the shore, so we're going to go and have a look.
Unfortunately, after the carnival, the weather was not conducive to our onward passage. Winds consistently over 30 knots for the foreseeable future meant we were stuck in Aruba for a while.
So this is what happens when we have too much wind to go away from the boat. We do jobs. So Amy's fixing the wind scoop. The oars are being stuck back together where they've started to split apart from all the use we give them. And the computer is rendering the latest video.
When the wind reduced a little, we set out to look at some of the sights. But it was really busy, expensive and westernised, which is not really our scene.
Security get itchy if you walk into a diamond shop in flip-flops.
So we checked the boat over, ready for the passage ahead, and used the airport Wi-Fi for video uploads and passage planning research. Planning for this passage is giving us a real headache.
Yeah, Caribbean sailing is supposed to be easy, but this passage from Aruba through to Panama, 600 miles, is supposed to be one of the worst 5 passages in the world. All the wind and the waves from the trades push through the Caribbean, and you get these patches off of Colombia which are really bad seas and lots of wind. So we're trying to work out whether to go the inshore route or the offshore route, and we've got, cruising guides, pilot guides, blogs from other people who've done it before, and it's not really clear which is the best route to do.
The reason it's so difficult to decide is because offshore, although you're further away from the land, you've got more sea room, the waves are potentially bigger and the wind is forecast to be much stronger in that area. And then inshore, although the wind and the waves are supposed to be less most of the time, you get big headlands which cause the winds to increase by up to 2 forces, and there's also a river which spits out dead cows and logs and all sorts of other rubbish that we want to avoid.
How's the weather looking, Matt?
It looks like there might be an opportunity to go. It's not perfect. The forecast is for 20 knots, and we know we're going to get a bit more off the coast of Colombia, possibly 30. But this looks like the best opportunity for quite a long time, and it's been the best we've had for a while. So I think we go. Well, the sea state's not too bad out here at the moment. We thought it would be a lot worse. But we'll see what it's like once we get to the headlands. But for the moment, it's pretty good going. Dawn on the second day of our journey. You can see mainland for the first time in 6 months over to the port side. Had a lot less wind than forecast, which is good in a way. It's been nice and gentle, but we didn't want to get there, so we're going to have to go and download the latest forecast and see whether we need to head offshore for a little bit more breeze.
These mackerel skies indicate a change in the weather coming, so we stuck to the inshore route, hoping to avoid the worst of the wind. The next day, the breeze started to kick in.
And since the weather is supposed to get even worse up ahead, we decided to pull into Santa Marta in Colombia for shelter.
The weather continued to get worse. And as we passed the headland near Santa Marta, we were experiencing some of the worst wind and seas we've seen. Winds consistently in the 40s, with gusts of 50, accompanied by large breaking waves.
At this point, I had a bit of a sense of humour failure and asked Amy to put the camera away so we could focus on getting across the waves into port safely.
Got a bit hairy out there, much bigger waves and bigger winds than was on the forecast, but luckily we had a plan B, so we've anchored in Santa Marta, and we're just going to hang on here until the wind dies, hopefully tomorrow, and we can set off again.
We took the opportunity to dry everything out, as we had a wave through the cockpit. It was very unusual for Florence.
We still had 30 to 35 knots of wind even in the shelter of Santa Marta. And all of the big ships seem to have had the same idea about taking shelter.
It's a bit different this morning. There is forecast for breeze out there, so we're going to give it a go.
What a difference a day makes. Probably going to have to motor now. That's better than 40 knots.
We motored out, but were soon able to set full sail in 15 knots of wind.
However, 1 hour later the wind was back up to 30 knots and we dropped the mainsail and reefed the Genoa. This was not what was forecast, and with the area ahead supposed to be worse than the headland at Santa Marta, we seriously considered turning back. Thankfully though, the wind didn't build any further.
Got tuna. Full size tuna?
This one will feed us for a few days. Just passing the Rio Magdalena, and it's one of the biggest rivers, and it chucks out loads of debris into the sea. So it's really brown. We've just got to keep a lookout for any tree trunks or anything floating around to make sure we don't hit them. The weather's now a lot calmer than it was supposed to be at this point in the passage, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed it stays that way. Amy's cooking the fresh fish that we caught today for tea, and life's looking a bit better than it did a couple of days ago. Well, the game's changed now. Up until now we've been trying to go a bit slower. It's been really windy, so we've been trying to look after the boat. We've just had a head sail up, and now we've got past that point in the forecast. It's supposed to get lighter from here on, and now we want to make sure that we get to San Blas in daylight. So now we've got the main up and it's pedal to the metal sensibly, but we're doing between 6 and 7 knots straight at the target. Wind's going to die, but we need to maintain around 6 knots to get there early enough to be able to get in through the reef in good daylight. So who knows, we either do that or we hang around and wait outside for overnight.
Which is never fun.
Never fun.
The wind did die off, but we'd made such good progress up to that point that it didn't matter.
What are you looking at, Amy?
At our cruising guide. Look where we're going.
Here we are in Porvenir, plenty of daylight, and we've just dropped the mainsail, so it's nice and easy to get in through the pass.
Next time we explore beautiful San Blas and find out a bit more about catching dinner.